A rally in the indexes and then the mother of all fades today. You can see how we rallied right up to that 390 and then flipped only to come all the way back down. It wasn't just the indexes, it was the sectors that were exploding today. Nvidia, Tesla with the gap fill and roll at the 123.29 level. MDGL hitting 301 today and then just simply rejecting. Apple challenging the high. Apple challenging the open on December 21st, only to get rejected at the 133 level and roll right back down. So what exactly happened? Well, there was a short-term bond auction today at 11:30. And you can see this line right in here for looking at the 2-year Treasury yield. And you can just see at that particular time, it did not go well. And we actually started to sell in the 2-year, tried to regain the strength, and we just couldn't. And that actually led to the equity markets. If you look at this exact line when the auction took place, you can see that that actually marks the top of the S&P that's up here in orange and the bottom of where the bonds started to sell off. Subscribe to the channel, click all notifications. What we go over here is very timely, and if you want to be informed, you're going to want to subscribe. So now we roll down. What now? This was a classic run-up test of a resistance point right along that 3956, right? 3956. And then boom, over, gives us that hope, doesn't really follow through. Get your reversal bar right there on the hourly, and then it broke. This is actually where I bought puts today and did fairly well with that trade. Closed them into the end of the day, frankly, because I have no idea what Powell's going to say tomorrow. I was not invited to the special meeting. So this is where we're at right now, and now we have cracked the next level, which is at 3920, which puts us susceptible to 3,900. Okay. And this is what starts to happen. They start to walk us back down, which is just this wonky reversal gravestone. This is not what you want to see. You don't want some kind of shooting star sitting up here, low of the day, and now we're going into a Powell speech. His speeches, we just never know how they're going to go. So the bond market was the kindling, and then the idea of going into the Fed speech became the actual gasoline at the end of the day. For now, I would tell you to look at the usual suspects and possibly start using shorter time frame charts just so you can start looking and marking off previous opens and closes, especially on long green bars or long red bars, marking off those previous opens and closes. And what you'll start to see is you'll start to see a pattern develop. You can see it right in here, how that level in particular became resistance, right? And that's usually what happens because that's where the majority of the action is. So when you start breaking these levels, how that was resistance here, comes back down, unable to hold, and it tells you where your next level or where your risk may be to on the downside. So when you're looking at these on an hourly basis, yes, it's much more shorter term. And candidly, you could be a swing trader as much as you would like right now, but it's very difficult to hold some of these things. For example, look at Tesla. Whether you were long or short, you come in one day and then you think everything looks rosy, but all you really did was just gap fill. And then you just locked right at the gap fill, and then you just rolled right back down. So all that happened today. So actually into this, I was short and then I just stayed short, covered the majority, again, just because of Powell, and I'm not really sure how tomorrow's going to go. The stocks got right up into that 380 range, which also happens to just be the 200-day moving average, which is exactly what you've been unable to break since March. So it's been a solid 10 months now where we've been unable to get a close above that, and we just saw selling directly into that in the semiconductor, just having a great day. The question is, what do you do now? Well, if we take a look at the SOXS, which is the 3X Bear Fund, you can see how we came down, undercut, rallied, couldn't get back over that 55, and the theme of this year is going to be death crosses and golden crosses. So there's really very little that's redeeming about this action. Just because we sold off doesn't mean that it's done. I think we're just in wait and see mode, and a lot of people are a little afraid going into Powell's speech. And of course, Thursday we have CPI. So we have this little doji down here right now, and if we just kind of mark off this area, you will notice one thing that is pretty clean. The majority of action since November has been in this area. Now, it is possible to flip that doji tomorrow and go right back and retest the top of this. That would just be a very simple morning star. I'll link that video that walks through these candlestick patterns at the end of this. But essentially, we just don't know what he's going to say. Now, we do have some other data points that are going to come out this week, such as a lot of financial companies on Friday with earnings. And I think that's going to be substantial and something that we have to take a look at. And you can see here with the XLF, the financial sector, we still have the golden cross. We're still above the DTL, but we have this massive reversal today. And I think that people are a little skittish. The NASDAQ itself was unable to even test the 55-day, open and close at the lower end. And this is really forming an evening star. All you have to do is crack that tomorrow, 270, just right through that, and you are possibly testing these lows again. So a lot of weight really depends on what he says. We're going to be hyper-focused on his language. If he talks about softening in the labor market, we might see some kind of rally. This is the Dow, and you can see the golden cross right here, 55 above the 200. And you're really making us work for it. You know, they actually closed us under the 55 for the first time, only to reverse and hit a 3-week high, only to power through it and then reverse again. So they're really making us work here. And the one thing I would say about this market, continually move your stops up. Consider the idea of trailing stops. I think you'll find them extremely helpful. Lock in your profits and then just on to the next trade. There are some anomalies out there like this ASML Holdings. Everybody knows this company with lithography. I would not rule this out, and I would keep this on my radar, and we did not get below the open. Now, reminder, Taiwan Semi has earnings on Thursday. Okay, so Thursday is a huge day. You have CPI coming out, Taiwan Semi is coming out, and I find the strength in semiconductors pretty impressive. The VIX today, we can see that we are above kind of a key level, aren't we? We started to rally here over, and then we closed at the high of the day. We have some gaps that we could absolutely fill in the VIX right in here. So I'd be really cautious here. To me, this looks like it was simply get people in before Powell speaks so that we have some kind of cushion so we're able to get out, right? That's kind of what it felt like today. Two short ideas I am watching for tomorrow. One is coin. We received a nice test of the 38.59 level, and now we're starting to break down again and roll. This makes our stop very tight right up here. Less than $1 or $1.50 of risk if we roll down here and just start filling in these levels. And we can see how 31 has really been the target once we've been up here. It takes a couple days, but seems to grind its way back down here. And this would be a pretty tight stop. Second is CELH, Celsius Holdings. This did perfectly today where it lifted up like everything was going to be okay and then rug pulled, closing at the low of the day. Now we have our second close below the 55. We break this level down, and there's very little to stop us from a test of the 200 SMA. To join the Alpha Traders community, there is a link up here in the top right. As always, please comment on these videos. The reason that this video was more of an intraday video was because of the comments and wanting to understand what happened today. When I read those comments, it helps me create content, so please keep commenting. Everybody have a great evening. Powell tomorrow, 9 a.m., CPI, 8:30 on Thursday, which we will be live for.